Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we are coming at you live with the Consulting Success Livestream. This is the first of many to come, and we'll be kicking off every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and really excited to have today as the first one. Got a lot of comments and feedback from people about the topic today, which is all about consulting business models, and we're going to be talking about the three proven business models specifically for running a successful consulting business. And I'd love to encourage you to type your questions into the comments. A big welcome to all of you who are live and joining us on LinkedIn, as well as those on YouTube and Facebook. Really great to have you all here. So go ahead, let me know once you've joined that you are with us by typing a quick comment into the comment box. Let me know where you're coming in from. And also, if you have any questions as we go through these three different proven consulting business models, if you have any specific questions, anything that you want some perspective on, an opinion on, just my take on, I'm happy to do that. That's what these sessions are really all about. And the reason that we started the Consulting Success Livestream is to interact more with you, with the community, to try and bring more value, more ideas, more best practices, and again, perspectives to help you to run, start, grow a successful consulting business. And I know that many of you have been consulting for many years and are just looking to take things to the next level. Some of you are earlier stage looking to get started. And so regardless of where you are in your journey, I believe that these sessions, and I'll do my best to make these sessions really valuable for you. So I can see more people coming on. Go ahead, guys, type into the chat box, comment box there. Let me know that you are with us, and if you have any specific questions about consulting business models. But let's go ahead right now and dive into this, because I'm going to break down and share with you the three proven consulting business models. And there's actually kind of a surprise fourth, which I love. It's my preferred model. And so I'll talk about why that is and why it's really the fourth. But let's go over the first. So the first business model that has been proven time and time again over many years is that of the solo independent consultant. How many of you here are solo independent consultants? Go ahead and type into the chat comment box there and let me know if that is you. But essentially, it's one person. They may have an assistant, they may not, but it's one person who's doing all of the work and essentially running the business themselves. And so there's a lot of benefits to that model. Typically, your profit margin will be very high because you don't have a lot of costs, right? You don't have a team, you don't need or require a lot of infrastructure. And so that's fantastic. The challenge with that model, right? So if we look at, those are some of the positives, right? You're in control of your schedule. You don't have to worry about managing people, right? Your profit margin is very high. Those are some of the benefits of the solo independent consulting model. One of the challenges is similar, right? You're doing everything yourself. And therefore it's harder to grow. It's harder to necessarily achieve a greater impact, because the impact goes as far as you. Now, there are ways to scale that impact. We'll talk more about that going forward here. But certainly one of the challenges, right, with that model is that you've kind of created a job for yourself. You can structure it how you want, which is fantastic. But you often, if you want to go beyond where you are or make a greater and bigger impact, it's hard to do that yourself. Now, the other negative of the solo independent consulting model is that there isn't much value in the business. It really is, you are creating a lifestyle, you're creating kind of, a career, a job for yourself. You can run it certainly as a business because it is a business, but it's not something that is easy to sell. If you decide that you want to leave that business and to sell it and, to really make that into an asset that can live beyond you, there certainly are steps that you can take in terms of developing intellectual property or having other courses or products or things of that nature. But for many solo independent consultants, there is no value in their business. And so there's really nothing for them to sell if they decided to do that at some point. Does that make sense, guys? Just go ahead and let me know in the comments and chat box there if that makes sense. So when we think about the solo independent consulting model, right, many great benefits. It's a really good way to start if you are new to the consulting business, because you get to really experiment without having a lot of infrastructure or a lot of expenses, and so you can run very lean. You can be very nimble. And then the other kind of important point that I should mention about the solo independent consulting model is that in order to really grow that business, what you want to focus on in most cases, right, not all, but the vast majority of cases, it's going to be about identifying high value clients and working with a small group of them. So because it's just you or maybe an assistant, you're typically not going to be working with 50 or 100 clients all at one time. It certainly can happen, but in most cases it won't. And so you want to think value over volume. You want to think about how can you land clients and engage and build relationships with those who, when you land one client, the value is so significant that you don't need to have a lot of clients. Because if you have a lot of clients and it's just you, that becomes unmanageable, right? It becomes it creates overwhelm. It slows you down. It typically feels like you're reaching kind of burnout quite quickly because your energy is so focused on just trying to manage the moving pieces. And so that's why if you're a solo independent consultant, you typically want to focus on fewer clients, but have each of those clients be higher value. You don't want to rely on just one or two clients because that's not a business, right? That's really working as a contractor. And that's a typical challenge that a lot of people have when they call themselves consultants. And yes, they're doing consulting work, but they're not consulting business owners because they don't have a business. They have a job, right? They're really working for one client, maybe two clients. That's a dangerous place to be. So I would highly encourage you, even with the solo independent consulting model, that you should always be thinking about having 4 or 5, 6 clients or more, but a reasonable, manageable level. But each client should be worth significantly more to you. Okay. Let me know, guys, if you have questions on that model. I'll come back to that. I want to now move on to model number 2. And model number 2 is the classic consulting firm model. Let me know if you guys are following along here. Just type in the comment box and let me know. I'd love to just make sure that everybody is good. So second one here, right? Proven model. When you think about the vast majority of consulting firms or businesses out there, whether they are small, mid-size, or the largest consulting firms in the world, right? They're using the firm model, and that firm model is really about bringing in associates, other consultants, people who can deliver on the work. And the way that you build business is by landing more clients and having more associates or more consultants that can deliver the work. And if you are the owner of that business, right, you are in most cases capturing the margin between what your client is paying the company and what you are paying your team, right? So there's going to be a margin between those two. And so therefore, the more clients that you can get at higher value and the more associates, people that you have that can deliver on that work, then the more kind of impact you can have and the greater revenue and also profit you can have. Now, the downsides or challenges of that model is that it does require management of people. You have to really be, run a tight ship when it comes to operations. You have to be involved in hiring and training and firing, right? The whole recruiting process, management process, systems, other types of infrastructure is going to be required because it's no longer just you. Now, the firm model could be anything from you as the owner and having 2, 3, 4, 5 consultants or associates all the way up to thousands, right? As many of the large consulting firms have. But this is a great model if you want to make a bigger impact and you have come to terms, or maybe you are actually excited about the idea of managing and working with other people. Some people really thrive off of the energy of being around a community, being around other people. So it's no longer just you and yourself. And we've worked with many consultants at Consulting Success who have, started off as solo independent consultants, but very quickly, and sometimes actually not quickly, maybe it's taken them years, they've built their business up to a great place. They might be doing, several $100,000 per year. So a nice 6-figure kind of income that they have. But they start feeling like they want to achieve more. They want to make a greater impact. They want to be able to reach more people and to grow the business and not have the business only rely on them. And so they then will look at, well, how do I now go about actually scaling and growing and building a team? And so that's one of the exciting things. And for some people, I know it's not exciting, but it becomes almost just something that they recognize that they need to do. And so there's steps you can take to work through that and work around that. But the firm model is powerful, not only because the business can run when you're not there, right? It doesn't happen right away, but you can work towards that where you can be off doing something else, working on even another side business or on a holiday or traveling the world or whatever you want, building more, writing, like writing a book or creating more intellectual property. And if you have your firm structured the right way, right, then you don't have to be there doing all the sales, all the marketing, all the delivery of work, because you have people inside of the organization helping you with that. And the powerful thing about the firm model is that you're creating an asset. And so if you ever decide that you no longer want to work in that business, it just comes time that you want to sell the business, transition to something else, whatever it might be. It's kind of that stage of life for you, whatever that means. then you actually have an asset, right? You have the ability to sell that business because the business doesn't rely 100% on you. And that's the difference between the sole independent consulting model and the firm model is, or one of the differences is that it doesn't rely on you. And therefore you have an asset. Therefore you can sell that business in the future if you want. So everything you're doing is actually adding value. If you're doing the right things, you're adding value to the business. And that's a very powerful, asset for you to have, can create a lot of wealth as well. Now, typically you will find the profit margin on the firm model is lower, right? It might be 30%, 40%, 50%. It might sometimes be higher, could sometimes be a little bit lower, but typically professional services, you're going to have a fairly strong profit margin, but there are more expenses. And especially when you're transitioning from a solo independent consultant into being a consulting firm owner, you might see that your margin or your profit level does go down. But if you do the right things, it should very quickly keep growing because your revenue will grow exponentially as you're building the business. And you're going to have some costs which will become fixed costs, right? And then you're just going to see that the margin will actually improve over time. But you'll be bringing in much more revenue if you do things the right way, and so you'll still actually end up being ahead of the game and making more profit. And if you're doing this right, you won't have to be doing everything like you were before. So you have a lot more freedom and a lot more time to work on the things that you truly enjoy the most. All right, so that is the firm model. That's number 2. Let me just check in here on some comments and questions. All right, so let me go over, TJ, I'm seeing your comment here. Thank you for that. Coming up through Facebook. Tony on YouTube saying you're solo. Jose coming from North Carolina on LinkedIn. Okay, fantastic. So Jeremy as well, welcome to you guys. I'm going to take questions here in just a moment. Let me go over the third kind of proven consulting model, and then we can open this up for further questions. I just want to encourage all you guys, if you do have questions, please just type them into the comment box there on whatever platform you're in, and hopefully I'll see them here, and I'll try and go through as many as I can. So the third model is what we call the productized consulting model. And the productized consulting model is really about taking and identifying something that you can deliver to a client, right, to a buyer, and you're able to do it consistently. You're able to deliver value consistently, and it's a problem that that the marketplace has. So it's something that you'll typically find that people will continue to ask you for, or you're able to deliver really great results consistently around. And so this is why the productized consulting model, right, allows you to build a system, a process that you can deliver once for a client, and then when you deliver it again to another client, right, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so you might find that when you are a solo independent consultant, you're doing a lot more custom work. When you have a firm, you're doing maybe a blend between custom work and some form of productized work. And then a productized business, you're really doing the vast majority of the work is stuff that you've done before. And so you can leverage off of proven systems and processes. And so, for example, when you are an independent consultant, you might find that 80% of the work that you do is custom, 20% you're leveraging materials or IP that you have. In a productized consulting model, it's the opposite. You might actually be leveraging 80% of your content or of your intellectual property, as a system and as a process to deliver that as a productized offer. And 20% is the custom piece, right? 20% allows you to just adjust it for that specific client. Now, one really important distinction or point that I want to make here is that the productized consulting model, it's very rare for somebody to go, I'm going to become a consultant and then start a productized consulting kind of business. And the reason for that is that most of the clarity that you will get, or when you really feel like, I want to build a productized, consulting business, that comes from you already delivering and developing your business. And that might be as an independent consultant, it might be as in a firm model, but typically you will start to see that the marketplace, your clients are asking you for the same things over and over, or they all have the same problem, or that you enjoy delivering a certain type of work more than other work. And so there will be things that will become clear to you. And as they become clear to you, right, then you're going to want to lean more into those things. And that's where you start to go, okay, like, why am I doing all this custom work when the vast majority of people are asking me for the same thing? Why don't I just focus more on that? And so the productized consulting model is really great because, again, it allows you to leverage things you've already done before. You don't have to recreate the wheel. Therefore, there's some very powerful economies of scale, very solid profit potential. But the other great thing about the productized consulting model is that you can bring in people. They can be freelancers, contractors, full-time, part-time, but you can have people around you. And you can do this also, of course, as a solo independent consultant and in the firm model. But with a productized model, you know exactly what the steps are that you take people through, which makes building that system, building that process, and then training people, right? Developing like SOPs, standard operating procedures, things of that nature, makes it very easy then for you to bring in the right people to help you with the specific areas that you're delivering on and train them on that. And they can just get better and better and better over and over and over, right? And so you can really become a specialist delivering a specific result and outcome for your clients. And the powerful thing about that is because now that you have this process in the system, you don't have to do everything yourself. And so you can, again, bring people in to help you to do a lot of the work that you may not enjoy or that you're not the best at doing, which allows you to scale. So with the productized consulting model, what you typically find, and this is, again, none of this is 100%, guys, right? Sometimes you'll hear people online saying like, oh, this is the only way, or, like that kind of stuff. I don't believe that. I think there's always ways to do things depending on your unique situation. So what I'm sharing with you here is, what I've seen over the last 21, 22 years of building consulting businesses, 13 years working with consultants at Consulting Success, and really just seeing what works. But there's always ways to adjust these things. So that being said, right, with the productized consulting model, you will typically find that you're going to be aiming for a higher volume of clients, right? And the price point of that will be a little bit lower. Now, when I say lower, I don't mean low like buying a toothbrush, right? It can still be several thousands of dollars. It might be anywhere from $1,000, right, all the way up to 10, 25, even $50,000. But most productized service offerings, the typical, right, the majority are not going to be 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, $1 million engagements. You're going to find that much more commonly for the solo independent consulting model or the firm model. The productized consulting model, the whole idea behind that is that you have the economies of scale, right? You have the ability to leverage the IP that you've developed, or the systems and processes that you developed. So now the goal is to run as many people through as you can, right? Of course, making sure they're getting great results. But because you have that infrastructure, you're able to take on many more clients than you would if you were a solo independent consultant, right? So that's the benefit of the productized model. Profit margins are typically going to be higher than the firm model, but lower than the solo, independent consulting model, because you do have team, you do have infrastructure and things of that nature. So it's a really nice blend. Now, using the word or saying the word blend actually brings us to what I said, the fourth. So I know we talked about here initially, there's 3 proven consulting models. Well, the fourth is what we call the hybrid model. And that's why it's kind of reserved for the 4th position, because it's really a blend. And so this is why there's no one way to do things, but you can take the best elements of these 3 different proven consulting models, the solo independent, the firm, and the productized, and you can create a hybrid, right, where you find the pieces that work best in certain instances and use those. So for example, at consultingsuccess.com, if you go to our, if you're in our world, in our community, you will see that we have a hybrid model. We have a coaching program called Clarity Coaching, where we work with consultants to help them to really grow profitable consulting businesses, right? That program in and of itself is actually a hybrid model, because there is one-to-one coaching. There's also a group dynamic, a community dynamic. Then we also have productized components to it with, for example, video trainings and scripts and templates that we give to clients. So we've taken, some things that are much closer to, for example, the solo model or the firm model, but we've also brought in productization to it. And so we've seen this with many clients where, as you develop your business, you might start off solo independent, then become a firm, then go, well, actually, I think I'm doing a lot of the things the same. I could create that and branch that off or build a productized offering around that. And then you might end up doing a lot more productization down the road, but it's an evolution that you can go through. It's not just one or the other. Like most things in business, right? There's an evolution happening. And so as you get more feedback and you learn more, you're able to make adjustments based on what you enjoy, what you find to be profitable, where you're able to make the biggest impact, where you're having the greatest fulfillment coming from. So these are all things that are really important for you to consider around these models. Now, what I wanted to do today was really just to go through these 3 plus the 4th hybrid model. And what I'll do real quickly, guys, here, I'm just going to bring up on the screen. Let me see if we can do this or not. So give me 1 second here, guys. And yeah, so I'm hoping you guys can see the screen share here. If you can, just type in the comment box. Just let me know and say yes, to the screen share. I'll just talk through this real quickly, and let me just see. Can you guys? Hopefully, you guys can see that. Yeah, I'm hoping that you guys can. It might be a little bit small. I'm not sure how to make this larger, but if you can see it, just very quickly, it breaks down the ideas behind, the solo productized kind of model. You're going to be having 70 to +% profit margin on that. You're going to have a team of 1 to more. Your billing kind of structure is going to be more project value based, ROI, return on investment based billing. The growth opportunity behind that is really higher value clients. Then the second model is the firm productized model. And there you might have anywhere from 30, 40, 50% kind of profit margins. That's firm productized is the second one here. So the order's flipped over. That's why the profit didn't look correct to me. So yeah, if we say kind of productized model, right, which can have a firm element to it, that's going to typically be 50%, could be higher. So maybe even up to 70%, 60%, definitely profit margin on that productized model. You might have 3 people or more. Your billing, right, is going to in many cases be kind of a set billing, but you'll figure it out based on the hours that your team works, the value, the project, and here, yeah, you definitely want to be thinking about more clients, and you want to be working towards increasing the value of those clients as you go forward. But the key difference between solo and productization is with solo, you don't want too many clients because that becomes unmanageable if you're solo, right? Whereas with a productized model, the whole idea is to figure out how can you create a system and structure that allows you to take on more clients while delivering exceptional service, right, to and results for those clients. And then the third would be the firm model. And the firm model here, it says 30% profit margin, but certainly this could be 30, 40, 50, in some cases higher, some cases maybe a little bit lower. You want to be too much lower unless you're, a massive firm. But here you might have a team of 10 plus, even 5 plus. Billing oftentimes comes back to hours. If you look at a lot of the firms out there, right, they're kind of calculating based on how many hours their associates are spending, and they might be paying their associates, for example, $180, and they're billing the client $300, and so they're capturing kind of the delta between those two. And that's how they make money. Of course, many firms also use project-based billing, value-based billing. There's many different ways to do this, but this is just kind of the more standard. And the idea behind here in terms of the growth opportunity is, more team. As you build more team, more hours, right, you can take on more clients. So that's kind of the differences between those guys. So hopefully that was clear. All right, so let's go through. Thank you all for typing that you could see here. I'm glad that would come up. You're able to see that. I want to just go through it. I know there's some comments and questions coming in. So again, welcome to Jose, to Tony, Jeremy, TJ, Smart. I don't know your name, just shows your company there. Bianca, Danielle, Pedro, Ronald. Okay, Trevin. So I think a question was coming in here. Let's just pull this up from TJ, which is, what if you use the firm model but decide to use freelance or contract employees only? Wouldn't that keep your bottom line low risk? Yeah, no, it certainly would. And that's the whole thing, TJ. I mean, you're making a really great point. And it's something that I share with clients all the time is I think when people often have this idea of that they need to, like the idea of building a firm, they become scared or concerned. Let me just see here. I want to make sure there you go. Hopefully you guys can see this. I think I had the wrong screen. People become concerned or hesitant around of building a firm because they believe that somehow they have to make a massive commitment. And I don't think that you need to. So what you've actually hit on, TJ, is one of the best ways to approach this, which is if you want to start venturing into building out a team, that team really should initially, unless you really feel that the business is there and you feel very confident, like you could go and hire somebody full-time right away. But what you could also do would just be to start off finding contractors and freelancers to help you with certain elements of project delivery or sales and marketing, whatever it might be, to take some of that time, away from yourself, and so that you free up more of your time is really what I mean. So you can work more on the marketing or the sales or the intellectual property development. And if you do that, yes, it'll keep your bottom line. Low risk is a good way to say it. You'll still have greater costs typically than you would have if you were doing everything yourself. But here's kind of the chicken and egg, or the real eye opener, I think, for many people, is that if you start to recognize that every hour that you're spending doing lower value work, or that's work that that you could find somebody else to do at less cost than what you could charge yourself, you're actually losing money. And so the sooner that you actually embrace that idea and go, I'm doing work that I could get somebody to do for $50 an hour, and I'm really, I should be charging the equivalent of $300 an hour, even if you're not using hourly fees, which you shouldn't. I don't believe that most consultants should use hourly fees. So that's the opportunity, is to go, well, yeah, if I can get somebody to do it for 50 and I'm charging the equivalent of 300, I'm actually losing $250 every single hour that I'm doing this myself. So that now allows you to free up time to work on things that can create more revenue, more opportunities for the business. So hope that helps. Great question there, TJ. All right, so let's see, Bianca. So we're able to go from 100%. Let me just put this up here. So we're able to go from 100% service, 90% digital, and 10% services. We hit 7 figures last year doing it this way. So we have a hybrid business model. Fantastic. Yeah, great job. Congratulations, Bianca. That's really, really great. Good stuff. Okay. See here. Any other questions, guys, coming in? I'm seeing here just some comments here. Appreciate the comments. Thank you all very much. But let me know any questions you all have about consulting business models. I want to also bring your attention to one thing or to one resource for you. And let me see here. I'll pull up the screen. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this. Give me 1 second. If you want to learn more about consulting business models, then this, let's do entire screen for a second here. You guys can check out, I'm hoping you can see this. If not, you can write down this URL. It's consultingsuccess.com/consulting business models. We have a pretty extensive free article resource here for you that goes into a lot more detail around the firm model, the solo independent, the productized, the hybrid model, gives you examples, of each of these. So I would encourage you guys to check this out if you want a resource to learn more about consulting business models. Go to consultingsuccess.com/consulting business models, and you'll be able to learn a lot more, where I break this down in much greater detail. I have another video here that I recorded and put on YouTube previously. So I think that'll be hopefully, I believe, a good resource for you all. And then the other thing that I just want to mention, since this is our first kind of official, inaugural live stream, Consulting Success live stream here, we're gonna be doing these every week. So each week, that's the plan right now. Every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, I'll be back on, just taking questions, going through some best practices for you all here. But the other thing I wanted to mention is we'd love to get your questions. So we've set up a page where you can submit your questions, whether you're joining us live right now or you are going to be checking this kind of the replay afterwards. If you go to consultingsuccess.com/stream, STREAM, so consultingsuccess.com/stream, there's a very simple form there, and just submit your question. Let us know, what would you like to explore? What would you like for us to talk about? What would be helpful for you? And we'll then try and bring that up on an upcoming live stream so that we can really take your questions. And I'd like to start doing more of that, guys, really just to bring more value for you. And what I do also believe is that if one of you has a question, likely others will also have that question. And so by you asking, not only will you be getting support and help yourself, but you'll likely also be helping others. And that's the whole idea behind the community here, right? That's really what we're about doing. So yeah, go to consultingsuccess.com/stream, STREAM, to submit your question, and we'll try and take it maybe even on next week's live stream coming up. See here, so quick question looks coming in from Pedro. What are your thoughts on creating a consortium of smaller firms to compete with larger consulting firms, still remain separate companies, but an exclusive partnership? Yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of people who do this. And I think that this certainly, there's opportunity here, Pedro. The one concern I would point out, not to dissuade or tell you not to do it, but one thing to keep in your back of the mind, where I've seen some people get into trouble with this kind of approach, is when they enter into some kind of an alliance or they get their business from some other source and they rely on that. And so they don't really have a business, right? They are part of this consortium, but what happens if that network disappears? Or what happened if all of a sudden the leads and the opportunities that were coming into that network, because the network was the brand that was being built, stop? And then you no longer get that business, you no longer have the opportunity, and you haven't really built up your own brand in the marketplace. And so there's no real asset there. There isn't also as much brand recognition. And so that's the main concern that I would have regarding that type of a setup. But it's certainly, I think, could be a great channel in it, kind of in addition to, or to supplement your own marketing and sales efforts. So I hope that helps, Pedro. All right, guys, before we wrap up here for today, let me know if there are any other final questions. If not, we will take, I know sometimes on these live streams, when I've done other ones in the past, it seems like just when I end the broadcast, then some questions start showing up. So I apologize, guys, if you've asked a question, I'm not seeing it. We are right now in StreamYard and supposed to be seeing all the comments or questions that come in the dashboard here. But if something's delayed, I may not be able to get to it right away. So yeah, if there's a question that you have and I've not been able to answer it about this topic, or just any other question about growing your consulting business. It might be about scaling and building with a team. It might be something regarding your fees, proposals, anything at all. Go to consultingsuccess.com/stream, get in touch. Just put in, your information there in terms of what your question is. That's only going to be used for questions that we can take and speak to in upcoming live streams. So that being said, we will wrap up here for today, guys. Thank you all so much for joining. First official Consulting Success live stream. Hope that you enjoyed it. Hope that you got some new ideas from it as well. And for those of you who just jumped on, if you want further information about consulting business models, go to consultingsuccess.com / I believe it is consulting-business-models. We have a very kind of detailed article on the topic. And then until next week, have a wonderful rest of the day and rest of the week, everyone. And we'll talk soon. Take care and bye for now.